Hello everyone. Looking for a home under $600,000 in the exciting borough of Brooklyn? Look no further than the neighborhood of Brownsville. Today I'm going to take you through Brownsville, let you know the pros and the cons of living here. Marcia Melendez here, your friendly Brooklyn realtor, bringing you interesting information about real estate, business, and of course, all the happenings here in Brooklyn. Please take a moment to subscribe and like the video, and also leave me a comment below. Tell me what your experiences have been with Brooklyn and Brownsville in particular. This once very rich farmland was named for Charles S. Brown, who purchased the land in the 1860s and decided to build a lot of small one-family homes. He marketed them to the Lower East Side, where a lot of people lived in very cramped quarters. The mainly Jewish community moved into Brownsville, and by the 1930s, it was the most densely populated neighborhood in Brooklyn. It began to transition with the migration of a lot of people from down south looking for a better start here in New York City in the north, and of course, a lot of immigrants from the Caribbean came to New York City during the 50s and up, and a lot of them chose Brownsville for their home. I remember living in East Flatbush and visiting Brownsville, where my mom used to shop. In those days, they had everything here. There was Slavin Fish Market, a very famous fish store in New York City, known for its fresh fish and low prices, and they had an outpost here on Belmont Street. Also, they had so many fabric stores. My mom was a seamstress, so she was always interested in that. You could get furniture, you know, the ornate Italianite kind of furniture. My mom and my aunts loved it, but definitely not our style. Whatever you needed could be found on Pitkin Avenue in those days. And it is still the main shopping district of Brownsville, although a lot of those original stores have since moved on. Over the mid to late 20th century, racist banking policies, such as redlining, as well as racist police practices, such as stop and frisk, led to the de-investment, but today is undergoing a renaissance with lots of new housing being built and a strong cultural organizations that are committed to making Brownsville a safe and vibrant community for its residents. If you're thinking about putting down roots in Brownsville, here are the few pros and cons that I think you should be aware of. I have to say, one of the biggest pros of living in Brownsville, here you can find much more affordable homes compared to other parts of Brooklyn. This makes living here very attractive. One of the things I talk about is buying where you can afford, creating some equity, and then using that equity to buy where you really want to be. That's a smart tactic if you are thinking of buying a home in Brooklyn and you cannot afford the going prices. Brownsville is a good place to start. As you drive around Brownsville, you can see new buildings going up, and they're not just for low-income residents, but also for middle-income market rate. One of the cons of Brownsville is that there are few job opportunities here. Many of the businesses and manufacturers that used to employ residents are no longer here. Brooklyn was a big manufacturing town, but it's no longer. So a lot of the residents have to commute out of the neighborhood to look for work. Even nowadays, with hospitals and medical facilities providing employment, Brownsville only has one major hospital, which is Brookdale. It's expanded a lot and they're doing some innovative things there, but there aren't really too many medical facilities here, so the residents do have to look for work elsewhere. I've always noticed the community spirit and diversity of Brownsville, which is a really good advantage as far as I'm concerned. There's a diverse cultural mix of different languages and traditions, and it really creates a unique environment atmosphere, especially when you go along Pitkin Avenue or in some of the side streets in the surrounding park, where they have neighborhood parties, soccer events, and other sports events. This sense of community between the residents with one another is readily apparent where the residents are close-knit here in the Brownsville community, and they always seem ready to offer support to their neighbors. A disadvantage of Brownsville for some families and individuals will be the higher safety concerns and crime rates as compared to other parts of Brooklyn. The crime rates in Brownsville historically have been higher compared to other neighborhoods in the borough, but I must say that recent efforts to improve safety in the neighborhood have been successful and are showing positive results. Sooner or later, all neighborhoods in Brooklyn become good because people need places to live. What can I tell you? Early in its modern history, the infamous urban planner Robert Moses encouraged the city to tear down overcrowded tenements that were remaining here and built NYCHA developments. NYCHA is the New York City Housing Authority, and it is the largest housing authority in the nation. It was created in 1935 to provide decent, affordable housing for low and moderate income New Yorkers. Well, today Brownsville has the highest concentration of public housing, thanks to Robert Moses. In 1 square mile, NYCHA owns more than a third of all the houses in the neighborhood. 10,000 apartments in 18 developments spread over 100 buildings. That's about a third of all the houses in Brownsville. I don't believe that housing developments in and of themselves are a disadvantage, but such a high concentration and density of buildings in such a small area doesn't always make for the safest living environment. You know, especially late at night, walking up the stairways, along dark corridors, does not make for the safest environment. Luckily, a lot of the homes in Brownsville, I'd say most of them, have their own parking facilities in the front of the house. So, you know, you could just drive directly home every evening without walking the streets at night to look for parking spaces. And I think that's what makes Brownsville such a good choice right now. Listen, you have to take precautions whenever you're moving anywhere at nighttime. In any dense populated area of the city, just be extra vigilant. The local amenities in Brownsville are decent, which is an advantage for anyone living here. The garbage is picked up regularly, and except for in some commercial areas, the streets are really well kept. So that, I think, is a big advantage. Transportation here is also very good. There are many bus lines, and there is a subway that will take you to other parts of Brooklyn as well as to the city. So it's not as if it's isolated. You can get around if you don't drive. There's plenty of stores, so people don't have to go out of their neighborhood to food shop. You know, these are all things that make a neighborhood pleasant to live in. There are a lot of parks and recreational spaces for family leisure. What can I tell you? Another disadvantage, however, is the area's education system and school. The public schools are just really being built up to full capacity. You know, the area has lacked investment for so long that, of course, the schools also have suffered. But now with a lot of the charter schools, the education system is doing much better. I know some Brownsville residents will choose to send their children out of the area to go to school, but that's not an uncommon thing in Brooklyn. The neighborhoods are quite close together, and you know, a lot of families choose to use private schools or private Catholic schools to educate their children. I know we did, and we lived in Ditmer's Park, which is one of the best neighborhoods in Brooklyn. So it's a choice that you can make, especially if you have the money and you just want to give that extra advantage to your children. You can't speak about Brooklyn neighborhoods without talking about gentrification. And Brownsville has not suffered as much as some other neighborhoods because of such of a large presence of housing developments here. A lot of developers have tended not to come into Brownsville and build. But, you know, the other side of that is that the neighborhood has been able to maintain its unique character, and the homes have remained affordable for people to live in. Once a lot of new buildings for market rate tenants start being built, people are forced out the neighborhood. So, you know, with all gentrification arguments, there's good, there's bad, but Brownsville has been saved from that because of the number of developments that are here. However, the prices are steadily increasing. So if you are looking for a home to buy, jump on this area before you are priced out. Remember, as a Brooklyn resident, I've seen it happen from one neighborhood to the other. Once upon a time, nobody wanted to live in East New York. It was such a terrible neighborhood. Now the homes in East New York are priced at $800, 2 families, $900 and over. So this is the time to take advantage of moving here. If you are looking for a reasonably priced home to purchase, I think Brownsville is a good bet for you. The many cultural offerings is a big pro, as Brownsville has grown into a hub for artistic expression. with many galleries, music venues, and cultural events. Betsy Head Park and Play Center is one of the well-known facilities here in Brownsville and was established in 1914 with a grant from philanthropist Betsy Head. She was a British philanthropist and businesswoman who donated Betsy Head Park. Later on, the New York City Parks Commission updated it and implemented a pool here, Olympic-sized pool. So the modern day park contains a playground, swimming complex, field supplies for football, tennis, and basketball, all of which are well used. Believe me, I see them out here in the summertime. Listen, living in Brownsville, Brooklyn has a blend of affordable cultural activities and community diversity. But you know, the ultimate decision to live here or in any neighborhood depends on one's video will help you make an informed decision. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Brownsville. If you enjoyed the video, you might want to watch some more of our neighborhood videos. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more insights into the different neighborhoods of Brooklyn, New York City. Until the next time, keep exploring the world around you, especially here in our city.